Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today we're going to look at the very short but very sweet studio catalog of a kick-ass Canadian band called Max Webster. A band that came out of the Ontario area of Canada, formed in 1973, started releasing albums a couple years later in 1976. By like 1980, 81, they were no more. Most notable for a guy named Kim Mitchell. All right, he was one of their chief songwriters, guitar player, and vocalist. He would go on, and he's still having a fairly respectable solo career. You don't hear too much from him these days, but throughout the 80s and the 90s, he was pretty prolific. Not here in the U.S., unfortunately, and that's probably, for most U.S. rock fans, Max Webster were never really much on the radar other than being that kind of cool and quirky band that always seemed to be opening up for Rush, right? Because they were good friends with Rush, and they toured extensively with that band. Unfortunately, success never really hit them here in the U.S., although a very successful band up in their neck of the woods, up in Canada, a consistent gold or platinum selling artist throughout the history of their 5 studio releases. They also have a kind of greatest hits compilation and a live album, right? But 5 main releases of all new material. I'm a big fan of all these albums and this band in general, so for me to kind of put this in some kind of order was really tough because they're all really good. There's a couple that I hold a little higher than the others, but my ranking could change almost any day because all of these albums have a lot to love on them. Again, a very quirky band, not really like anybody else. Are they hard rock? Are they prog? They got moments of pop. They can do almost metal at times. To me, they were kind of like a more progressive and a heavier version of the Tubes. That's kind of what they have, that kind of quirky nature, that keen sense of popmanship, and amazing instrumentalist. And the Tubes also had their moments of kind of like theatrical rock and pop and prog and all that kind of stuff. Max Webster do as well, although I think their music always a little bit heavier, a little more metallic. So if that sounds interesting and you never checked out Max Webster, I highly recommend you do. If you haven't seen it, last year sometime I did a Max Webster top 10 song show, so definitely go and check that out. So all right, so I'm going to start off with my number 5. Again, tough because I love them all. I'm going to go with their self-titled release, their debut in 1976, Max Webster, which was also released here in the States under the title of Hangover with a different cover. So for those of you who are here in the U.S. and thinking, I've always liked Max Webster, but that doesn't look like the album that I had, it's because a little bit different release here in the States called Hangover, which is the kickoff tune, excellent tune, I might add. I dig this album a lot. For me, it's kind of the least fully realized of the Max Webster sound out of all of them, but still really good. More of, there's some mellow tunes on here. There's some good hard rock on here. I think a lot of their kind of prog leanings will come out in subsequent albums. But there's some excellent songs. I mentioned Hangover, is really, really good. Summer Turning Blue, Toronto Tontos is cool. A lot of humorous lyrics in a lot of their songs. Coming Off the Moon, excellent track. They would have, with the exception of their very last studio album, they would have songs with titles with Moon on almost every one of them, and they're all terrific tunes. What else is good on here? Summer's Up, good rocker, and then I really like the last track, which is almost 8 minutes long, called Lily, and that's a fairly proggy song for them. So great keyboards, great vocals, Kim Mitchell, very good singer, blazing guitar work, great rhythms, just a really, really unique band that I really dig quite a bit. Next up, all right, so we're going to go to their 1979 release, A Million Vacations. Again, another strong album. And what's interesting about this band, a lot of bands that kind of came out in the 70s, most people look back on their catalogs like, those first couple albums are always the best, then a decline in quality. Not so much with these guys. I think these guys got better as they went along for the most part. But every album is really good. This song kicks off with what could have and should have been a big hit for them here in the States. I know it was a minor hit up in Canada, a song called Paradise Skies. If you like really good, tuneful, catchy, hard rock, check out Paradise Skies. It's really, really good. It reminds me of the Tubes a little bit. It reminds me a little bit of Todd Rundgren's Utopia. It's got really good hooks, good guitar licks, really good song. What else we got in here? Moon Voices, A Million Vacations, the title track. Rascal Howdy, excellent song, great hard rocker. Research at Beach Resorts, another really strong tune. Night Flights, good, memorable, rockin' stuff, kind of proggy. All right, 1978's Mutiny Up My Sleeve. As you can see, I'm kind of going all over the place here because I think that their music kind of, they definitely had a trajectory that they followed. They didn't kind of blow their whole wad, so to speak, really, really early on. And they weren't around for that long, so it's like every album is really strong. This one is no exception. You got Lip Service on here, Astonish Me, Beyond the Moon. Again, a lot of cool Moon tunes. There's one that's my favorite of all of them. But Beyond the Moon is really good. Has a terrific extended guitar solo from Kim Mitchell. A really good player. This guy could really shred. Really, really good stuff. What else? The Party, Waterline, Water Me Down, Distressed, Hawaii. All sorts of good stuff on here. Again, very, very memorable. Quirky, tricky arrangements. Okay, when they wanted to really rock out, they could. When they wanted to do a kind of a cool mellow pop tune, they could. All right, the top two, I had a real hard time picking one over the other here because I liked both of these real equally. These are easily my favorite in the catalog. Today I'm going with this configuration. You ask me next week, I might change my mind. But number two, I'm going to go with their last studio release of original material, Universal Juveniles from 1980. This is a pretty cranking album. I love the production on this album. It's big, it's bold. Guitar work is beefy in your face. Really, really good guitar solos on here. Excellent, memorable songs. April and Toledo. Really, really cranking heavy rocker. Juveniles Don't Stop. You got Battle Scar, which is a cool kind of heavy, almost like kind of moody anthem featuring their good buddies Neil, Alex, and Geddy. Sure you know who they are, right? What else is good on here? Drive and Desire. Killer song. One of my favorite hard rockers from this band. Really, really good. Blue River Liquor Shine. Cool, progressive arrangements going on. I got the keys and the guitar. Really, really good. Cry Out Your Life. Excellent song. In the World of Giants. Tough to beat this one. Really is tough to beat this one. But I went with High Class and Borrowed Shoes from 1977 for a couple reasons. You know, sometimes a favorite album of yours might just have those like 2 or 3 or 4 really, really standout tunes. And for that, kind of weighs it in favor of something else. Like I think like top to bottom, I think Universal Juveniles might be a little stronger top to bottom. But there's a couple tracks on here that are like favorite Max Webster stuff for me. Like High Class and Borrowed Shoes. Dun 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 dun. I just love it. Love the crazy cranking riffs in that song. Like I said, it's humorous, it's quirky. It's like a little prog underleaning, but otherwise it's a really good rocker. Then the final song, In Context of the Moon, is great. Great bookends to this album. Context of the Moon, big, epic, sizzling solo. Love it. Atmospheric. You got Diamonds on here as well. Another cool, catchy tune. Rain Child on the Road, Gravity, Words to Words, and America's Veins, and also All War. Just really strong. Really strong album. I think this might be... it's hard to say which is their proggiest album. It might be this one, but this also rocks really hard. I think this is definitely their hardest rocking album. This also rocks hard, but it might be their proggiest. So my number 1 and 2 here. But again, it could change at any time because I love them both to death. I do want to mention, it took me forever to get this. They've got a really cool live album called Live Magnetic Air, which has a lot of their great tunes on it. This is long out of print. I'm hoping that, hopefully they remaster this and reissue this at some point because Rock Candy did a bunch of their the studio albums. But I was able to find a fairly affordable copy about a year or so ago. I was very happy to get this. America's Veins is on here, Paradise Skies, In Context of the Moon, Night Flights, Lip Service, Sonya Town Reggae, Here Among the Cats, Gravity, Waterline, Charmonium, and Hangover. So again, a lot of their kind of best songs, but they have a lot of other really good songs. So if you can find a copy of this at a reasonable price, this is a good intro to the band. But they only have, like I said, the 5 studio albums. They also have a compilation which has more of their kind of similar to what's on here and a few other songs, and I think 2 previously unreleased newer tracks. So that was like the last thing they released. But there's only 5 CDs. Definitely go seek them out if you can. If you can get the live album at a decent price, get it. But otherwise, the studio stuff is absolutely crazy good. High Class and Borrowed Shoes coming in at number 1 for me. Universal Juveniles, number 2. Mutiny Up My Sleeve, number 3. Number 4 is going to go A Million Vacations. And number 5, Max Webster, or Hangover, if that's how you know it. Okay, all really, really great. You cannot go wrong with any one of them. So there you have it. Max Webster ranking the studio albums for all my Canadian fans. I know we have a lot of them here. I'm sure next they're going to be like, Pete, when are you going to do April Wine? The problem with April Wine is I have like all of their studio releases up to like I think like the mid or late 80s, and I know they put out a bunch after that. So in order for me to do April Wine, I'm going to have to either go get or really dive into those the latter period ones, or I could just do kind of like April Wine, the best of up to 85 or something like that, because there's a lot. They have a lot of really solid albums too. So we'll see, guys. But this is on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course. We're here on YouTube all the damn time. Coming up, a lot of stuff happening this week. Chris Canzonera is coming on the show for the first time tonight. New special guest. We're going to be ranking the studio albums of great American death metal band Nile. We're going to do top 10 songs of Molly Hatchet. We're going to do top 10 songs of the Grateful Dead. Tomorrow, the Seibert brothers are coming back. Haven't seen them in a couple weeks, or about a month actually. And we've got 2 shows planned for you. That's coming up tomorrow. Thursday, really excited about this. Coming on the show, one-on-one with this guy right here, Andy Powell, guitarist and vocalist, founding member of Wishbone Ash. Thursday night, you don't want to miss that. This weekend, Brian Slagle, Elliot Fulham, and Steve Keeler, we are going to give our top 10 song favorites of the great Celtic Frost. And that's just for starters. There's other stuff happening too as well that I'm going to be cooking up here myself. So you don't want to miss any of that stuff. Like I said, visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on the mighty YouTube all the damn time. We'll see you guys later on. Of course, tomorrow morning, 1987, favorite album of the year. You don't want to miss that. Stay tuned, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.